thank you for joining me today. I wanted to give you a look at my seeds and how I save my seeds. We've talked a lot about the importance of saving seeds. And right now, as we're getting ready to start our fall gardens or even a second round of your summer garden, your seeds are really, really important. And the seeds that you have saved are what you're going to go to get planted. Of course, if you don't have seeds that you saved, you can go and buy some. Doesn't matter, you can still grow your garden. So don't let the fact that you don't have your own seeds keep you from growing a garden. There are some really great places to go, especially online, that you can get some really good seeds. As I always say though, just make sure they're non-GMO seeds. We don't want genetically modified seeds. They're not good for your body. Up until last year, this is where I kept my seeds, and they were packed in, and every time I wanted to get a seed out or look at my seeds, I would have to take them all out at one time and separate them out. Even if I had them in there in file order, I still had so many. They were just so packed in because the file would be this way and then on top of that, and they were just packed in there. So last year my husband bought me a seed chest. So this is now how I can save my seeds, and I'm very, very organized. I've got beans, which is a big drawer because I have so many bags of beans that I've saved, plus some that I've bought. A lot of my favorite place, Baker Creek, and even a lot of the seeds I have in here from Baker Creek, I've already started saving my own seeds from it. I have flowers, because I've told you before that I do edible flowers, medicinal flowers and herbs. So I have a row just for my flowers. Carrots, beets, kale, chard, mixed greens, spinaches, all kinds of different things that I didn't really have a category for. My different okras, tomatoes, another good one, and then another really large one is the squash, because I do like squash, and I have all the summer squashes and winter squashes that I like, and every year I'm trying a different one. While I'm speaking of squashes, summer, winter squash, that doesn't mean that you grow one in the summer and one in the winter. That's not what that means. Your summer squash are your tender squashes, and they're not going to winter over. Your winter squashes are heavier, harder squashes, and you're going to be able, if you grow them to full maturity, cut them right. I showed you how I cut off a stem about like this so that I would, and just have a good hold on it and cut it off that top, and then you'll know your stem is long enough, because that's what you need for it to be able to cure correctly, and they will last almost all winter. I have several in there that have been sitting there for a couple of months. Now I know this is summer, but they've been sitting there for quite a while. And I just put one out that we picked the other day that will be there for a little while. Hopefully more to come. Thing is I love my squash so much and I eat it, but if I need it to go through the winter, it can. And in this area here, I have all the things that I will need for saving my seeds. I have containers that I can keep stuff in. I have plastic bags that I can keep stuff in. I have markers, pens, tape, all kinds of things that I may need for my seeds. And down here, in this drawer, I have, of course, some of the bottles that won't fit in drawers. This is my loofah seeds. Still have a lot from last year, and then this year is going to come up. I've given away a lot. I have more. This is the notebook that you're going to keep for your garden. It's a very, can you have a garden without keeping a notebook? Yes, I did it for quite a while, but it helps you a lot. Like I have this right here. This is from the Farmer's Almanac. Now you can go online to the Farmer's Almanac and you can put in your zip code, and they will give you a sheet that tells you when you can plant what. Takes all the guesswork out of it. It tells you when you need to plant inside, tells you when you can plant outside, what season you should plant things, whether, and this is from January of one year to December, and you can see there's always a planting, growing, and harvesting time for everything. And mine is 2 pages long, and it's all kinds of different things that you would like. And there are a lot of things online that you can go to that will help you with your garden, and that's something that we'll talk about in another time. Then I have sketched out. Now, I'm not a big artist. I'm definitely not somebody who can map things out real good, but I sketch out my garden areas, and I put what it is I planted, where I planted, so that I'll know what's where, what did good, what didn't do good, and I keep up with that. I have an area here for my seeds. When I order seeds, I keep this. I will say if it is a perennial, if it's not, something that's better to grow in a container, because there are things that are better to grow in a container. And I keep all those, so I'll know what seeds I've gotten, and I can keep up with which ones are perennials, which ones I liked, which ones I didn't. I have an area for herbs, all the herbs that I have, and what the benefits, the health benefits of that herb is, and how I can make that into a tincture if I want to make that into a tincture. That's a hard word to say for me. But it talks about where it actually originated, how it was used back in the day, and because they didn't use them just for herbs back then. That was their medicine cabinet. Their herbs and flowers, things in the wood, the trees, those were their medicine cabinet, and I think we should get back to that, because pharmaceuticals are really just making people sicker. They give you something for the symptom, which causes more symptoms, so you have to take another pill for those symptoms, and then that causes more. And I'm one that knows, because I was on quite a few, I was on at least 5 different medications, and some that I had to take periodically depending on what was going on because of the illness that I had. And it was making me worse, and it seemed like every time I turned around I was adding another pill, and they weren't doing me any good, or I wouldn't be needing more and more. So I took control of myself. I took control of my diet, my health. I started going into supplements and natural things, and the only medication that I take right now is for my thyroid, and I would like to get off of that. Don't know if that's possible, but that is something I am going to try. But anyway, so I have this for my herbs, the different parts of your body that each herb helps, and how you can use it for that thing. I have one for flowers, same thing. What are the life cycles of the flowers? What are the special qualities of the flowers? How, if they're medicinal, how do they help you, and how do you make that into something that you can use for your health? And also, they're edible. You know, which ones are the sweet ones? You have your sweet, you have your bitter, you have your hot. Some are spicy. The nasturtium, when you, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, but nasturtium, when you take those and you eat those, you get a real sweet sensation at first, but then at the back of it is a peppery type of thing. All that information, I keep all that because I like to have that to go back on, because, you know, I'm old. My memory's not that great all the time. And I like to look back at it. And also, too, if I'm sharing information with somebody, I like to have the facts in front of me, because I don't want them to take just my word for it. I want them to see the research that I've done on stuff, so they'll know that what I'm saying is not just my opinion. It's something that has been tested out. It's something that's from the past, where they used to use it in the past. There's been a lot of scientific studies done on herbs and flowers and different plants for health purposes. A lot of the pharmaceuticals come from plants. The quickest example I can think of is Valium. Comes from the valerian root. Well, why not take the valerian root? Why not grow it and have that instead of going to a pharmaceutical that has altered it and added to it? Just my view, something for you to think about. I also have it, the trees that we have, the fruit trees that we have, I keep up with the information about that so that I'll know what fruit trees we have, what the growing pattern is for them, what would be best for them. Do they need partial sun, full sun? Most fruit trees do need full sun. But I keep up with all that. I also keep up with your frost dates. You want to know when your first one is, when your last one is. That has to do with how you get your things into the ground. The first frost date is very important when you're planning your fall garden. You need to see when, and you can go on the Farmer's Almanac and they'll tell you when your first frost date and your last frost date will most likely be. And that's a most likely because, you know, Mother Nature has her way of doing things her own way. So, but that gives you a good time to plan. You know when your first frost date's going to be. You look at your seeds and you see when how long it is for germination, and then you'll know when you need to plant them. In all actuality, within the next week or two, you really, if you're wanting to prolong your summer garden, your beans and things like that, you really need to get them into the ground in the next week or two, and that way you'll have them. I wouldn't try tomatoes. I'm not going to put in more tomatoes. I am going to redo cucumbers. I do have some squashes that I'm going to put in. And then you want to think about your fall. Now fall, I'm going to do beets again. I'm not going to do as many as I normally would because I have got massive amounts of beets. We had a really good harvest on beets. I am going to do carrots again. I didn't do as good on carrots this year as I did on last year, so that is something that I'm going to redoing. I will be doing turnips. I love turnips, so that's a good winter crop. I'll be doing that, and I'll be doing a lot of the brassicas, the kales, the cabbages, and those are things. Now the kales and stuff you're going to plant outside. Your Swiss chard, you can plant that outside, but your cabbages and stuff like that, because they are a cool weather crop, you're going to want to start them inside and then plant them out. But you really need to get those started now. That's what I will be doing in the next couple of days, is starting my cabbage to get them out. I do have 2 cabbage left out in my garden, 2 of my red cabbage, which I will be harvesting later and be making my final batch of sauerkraut, 4th one for the season. And so I'll be good to go on that until the next one does. And I think when I do my cabbage, I'm going to bring you along for that so that you can see how easy it is to make sauerkraut. Sauerkraut is something that is very, very healthy for you. It's healthy for your gut. And a lot of people don't like sauerkraut, but if you make it yourself and you do little tweaks in it that you like to do, which is what I do, you'll see that it's very easy to make, number one. And you can alter the flavor just a little bit. In fact, it's totally different when you make it yourself than what you're going to buy in the store. 2 reasons. The taste is going to be different when it's fresh food picked at the peak of season from your garden. The taste will be different. It will be better. And the second reason is what you buy in the store, there's no health benefits. It's been cooked out. It's not something that is going to be good for your health. But what you make and what you have, that will be good for your health. And when you make it, you can can it, or you can just keep it in your freezer. It's going to stay in your refrigerator. It's going to stay good in your refrigerator for months and months. Getting on different subjects. That's easy for me to do. That's easy for me to do, stay focused. One thing about seeds and how you store them, I have different containers that I do, but my favorite way is to, when I take them out and clean them, I put them on a coffee filter to dry. I use a coffee filter because they're not going to stick on the coffee filter like they do on the plate. And what little bit they do stick, it's really easy to get them loose without tearing up your seeds. Trying to get them off a plate is next to impossible. Once they are really good and dry, I take them off of the coffee filter, put them on the plate, spread them out to let them continue drying, because I want my coffee filter also to dry very well, because when they're through, I will, let me see, when I'm through, I will put them in that coffee filter, I will fold it up, I'll staple it, Then I'll write on it what it is, and then I'm going to put it in my seed bank. And now, at the end of the season, I'm going to take everything that's in a coffee filter and I'll put it in a plastic bag also, just for some extra protection. Now, where I've located my seed bank, that's important. Yes, it's by a window, and normally this is shut. I opened it so we'd have better light for filming, but it's right by an air conditioner. The air conditioner keeps this really cool during the summer days. So it's not getting overheated at all. It's staying very cool because the air conditioner is right there at it, and because of where it's located in the back, in the corner. There's no heater right here, so it's not getting too hot in the winter here. Where you keep them is very important. Now, a lot of people tell you to keep them in the refrigerator. It's a good idea. If you can do that, go for that. I don't do that because with my seeds, if I was to do that, I would have to have a whole new refrigerator just for my seeds, and that's not feasible for me. Just for the simple fact that this is a small place. Our homestead isn't large, the home that we live in anyway, and I just don't have room for that. I have 2 refrigerators already because of the vegetables and the fruits that we bring in. I eat things fresh. I don't like things in cans and boxes and all that. In fact, we don't eat anything like that. Everything we eat is fresh. I make it homemade from scratch. My granddaughter, Natalie, when she was little bitty, and they would say, "You're going to like this. Granny made it from scratch." Now, in her little ears, she was hearing for scratch. So she's still 16 years old now. She still gets teased. She'll never live that down. We make everything for scratch instead of from. It's for. So that's just funny. That's funny for the family. And you have those little things too that you pick up on with your kids, things that you do in the gardens, and I could sit here and tell stories about it all day long. And that's wonderful because when I'm gone, my children and my grandbabies, and hopefully great-grandbabies someday, will sit down and they'll have those stories too, and they'll be able to laugh and talk and share, and those stories will carry on. That way, they may not meet great-granny or great-great-granny and great-great-pawpaw, but they'll have stories about the garden, about the home, and the traditions that we set. So those are important things. So this is my seed bank. That's how I put my seeds in. And it's time to get your seeds ready for your fall gardens. So happy gardening. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. Share the video for the information, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do. Thank you for joining me, and hope to see you again soon.